Hi there, I'm Jess Arce, America's dyslexia expert and CEO of 3D Learning Experts. And I am busting myths every day this month. And this is myth number 15. Dyslexia is a learning challenge all by itself, and it is not comorbid with any other learning challenges. Boy, that was a mouthful to say. Anyway, it's totally untrue. Very often, people with dyslexia also have multiple different neurodiversities. My youngest son has 8 neurodiversities. I probably have about 4. I definitely have dyslexia and ADHD, which is a curse and a blessing. I'll get to that later. But first, I wanted to tell you a little story that I usually tell our new clients. So you can think of the various neurodiversities like cousins. And when you go to a family party, the cousins may have not seen each other for a while. But that's not the point. The point is they like to hang out together. And so when you're at a party and you see all the cousins together, they're going everywhere together in a group. And that's the way I like to look at the neurodiversities. Now, some people have smaller families with only a couple of cousins together at the parties. And other families have a ton of first and second cousins. You know who you are. And they're all together. So that's like our neurodiversities, like my son with 8, or I have 4. Sometimes people might have just one neurodiversity, but very often they travel together. So that's just kind of a way I like to express it to help give people a visual of why their child might have more than just dyslexia. So for me, I found out that my ADHD ruled my life when I was at my dyslexia expert training. And we spent a whole day learning about ADHD because it is such a prevalent part of the lives of people with dyslexia. When I first started my business, I learned, or the theory was that 35 to 45% of people with dyslexia also had ADHD or ADD. I used to say that my student population was more like 70 to 80% having ADD or ADHD. And my tutors actually are required to have experience working with people with ADD or ADHD before they even have an interview, because they need to know and understand how that person works and to be able to wrangle them back in for tutoring. And I didn't want to have to teach that skill to my tutors, because I would rather spend all my time teaching my tutors how to be dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia experts. So now I just looked up the percentage of people with ADD or ADHD and dyslexia, and the new statistics are actually much higher. So I guess the general population is coming to realize that dyslexic people very often have ADD or ADHD. Anyway, back to me and my ADHD and my dyslexia. So for me, it's a gift and a curse. And it's probably that way for most people. I think it's more of a gift, but for my loved ones around me, it may be a curse. Because I am always on the go, go, go. I never stop, and I know that's because of my ADHD. I can keep doing things a lot longer than the average person. One of the challenges with me being ADHD is I often have about 20 tabs open on my computer because I start a project and then I see that something else needs to be addressed, so then I go work on that project. And then I realize that something else needs to be addressed on that project. And then 15 minutes in, I'm onto a whole nother project and I still got to get back to that first project. So that's one of the challenges with my ADHD. Another challenge, which isn't really a problem for me, but it is for my husband, is that I can't sit still in front of the TV. Watching TV is boring to me. Watching movies, even harder to do because it's so long. And when I was growing up, my mom always required me to be doing something while I was watching TV because she didn't want me to fry my brain on the boob tube. That's what my parents used to call it. Anyway, because of that, I have a really hard time just sitting there and watching TV. I'm always flipping through a magazine or coming up with some idea. Or I watch a TV show or a movie and then something pops in my head and I have to run and write a note or text my assistants or something like that. So that's probably the biggest pitfall of my ADHD. But like I said, it has a strength, and that strength is I am very driven and I will work for hours and hours. Another thing that people don't realize about ADHD is when there's something we're interested in, we can focus on for a really long time. But if it's not interesting to us, it's really hard for us to keep our focus. I see that issue more with my family members than myself, and I won't name any names, but that is definitely an issue with people with ADD or ADHD. And just like dyslexia, ADD and ADHD are hereditary. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you probably know I have 4 grown children and a husband. And my husband and I both have dyslexia, different degrees of it, but nonetheless, we both have it. My husband has ADD and I have ADHD. And all 4 of our children have one or the other. So it didn't skip any of our kids. Where the dyslexia, 3 of our 4 children have it and 1 does not. What you gonna do? Embrace it and love the strengths that come along with the weaknesses. That's what I always say.